Good evening, and welcome to the special meeting of the Council of the Borough of Ringwood. Today is Tuesday, May 5th, 2020. Because of the coronavirus emergency, the following provisions shall apply to the conduct of the meeting. Attendance at the meeting shall be limited to the municipal manager and essential staff at the Borough Hall in the council chambers. Members of the municipal council will be in attendance via phone conference. The meeting shall be televised on Public Access Channel 77, recorded and rebroadcast on Channel 77 and on the YouTube. Members of the public may participate in the public portion of the meeting as follows. Call in at 973-475-7100. Each call-in shall be for a maximum of 3 minutes. The public portion shall not exceed 30 minutes. Nicole, statement of compliance, please.
Adequate notice of the special meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Law, PL 1975, Chapter 231, setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of the special meeting by Mayor Linda Schaefer pursuant to NJSA 40:69A-179 through notices emailed to the following named newspapers and posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall on April 29, 2020. The Suburban Trends and the Bergen Record.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Spear,
Here.
Council Members Bolton,
Here.
Ferretti,
Here.
Matty Olandis,
Here.
McCracken,
Here.
and O'Keefe.
Kathy, you just got it. You're muted, Kathy. Here,
Here.
okay.
Also present, Borough Manager, Director, Department of Public Works, Scott Heck, Municipal Clerk, Nicole Langemeyer, and Borough Attorney, Richard J. Klimek. We're going to disperse for the pledge tonight because we did that before the meeting started. I do have a proclamation to read. The National Day of Prayer. Whereas civic prayers and national days of prayer have a long history in our constitutional republic, dating back to the First Continental Congress in 1775. And whereas we can pray openly thanks to the religious freedom guaranteed for us by the First Amendment to the Constitution. That freedom and the diversity of faiths it has fostered are among America's most important achievements. They have made our nation a beacon for generations of people from around the world who have traveled here seeking to worship without fear of intimidation or constraint. And whereas the National Day of Prayer is an opportunity for Americans of all faiths to join in united prayer to acknowledge our dependence on God, and to give thanks for blessings received, to request healing for wounds endured, and to ask God to guide our leaders and bring wholeness to the United States and her citizens. And now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Linda M. Schaefer, Mayor of the Borough of Ringwood, on behalf of the Borough Council, that this first Thursday in May 2020 be designated as a day of prayer in the Borough of Ringwood, to pray, each in his or her own manner, giving thanks for the rich blessings that our country has enjoyed throughout its history. Now, just to give you some background of why this meeting was called tonight, I asked Scott to have this special meeting to talk about two different items. First, I asked him if we were to extend grace period as outlined in the governor's executive order, how would that affect the operation of the borough? I also asked him to create a plan as to how we could help the restaurants and stores once the governor allows them to open, as we know they are going to have limited the number of people inside their buildings. So Scott, can you take us through your thoughts on these items?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And I guess procedurally, this evening, I'd like, if the council members want to make a motion or a second, or the last meeting was a little difficult with the minutes, so if you could state your name and motion before we move forward, so that it's hard to keep track a little bit with the recording. So procedurally, if you could do that, that would be great. We will open it up to the public. I do see we have some public on the meeting, and we also have our phone here that's on if in fact someone's going to call. But yes, Mayor, a couple thoughts. For our last council meeting, we didn't have the governor hadn't given us the authority to do this, and as mayors and councils, we've been asking the governor for quite some time to decide how we're going to handle this, because don't do it last minute, because last minute we won't have the time to react. And unfortunately, we had our council meeting on Tuesday, and I think he made the announcement on Thursday or something, so the timing wasn't great. With that said, we didn't have the authority to waive any of these things previously. He gave each municipality the authority to extend the grace period, which is what we're here to talk about tonight. There's a lot of pros and cons to that. From the resident's perspective, I definitely understand why you would want to do that. From the town's perspective, it's difficult. As you guys know, I've sent you this spreadsheet, which I updated today, that talks about the cash flow, and if in fact our payments don't come in until June 1st, what would that mean to us? Would we have to borrow money? How would we pay the bills? So this spreadsheet that I have before you is, we have about $3,432,000 in the bank. We have outstanding checks of approximately $600,000, leaving us a balance of $2.8 million. We have deposits as of today, which is one of the changes, $205,000, for a total of $3,037,654.98. We have some regular payments that are due. Like as an example, the Board of Education was due on 5/1, $1,638,000. That's basically one of 12 payments. One payment is a little higher, but every month we send the Board of Education $1,600,000. Our payroll is about $250,000, which is going to be on 5/6. Lakeland Regional High School, we have a payment of $1 million due on 5/8. Passaic County on 5/15, we have $2,995,195, and we have another payroll on the 20th of $250,000. We made a payment today to the Board of Education, because I talked to Dr. Bernice and said, look, I've got to make sure that your payroll gets paid. So we transferred $1 million today to the Board of Education, knowing that we still have $600,000 balance to them. And we're going to have an approximately bill list on the May 19th meeting of $500,000, which leaves us approximately $2.6 million in the hole as of right now. The second quarter, we billed $13,920,561.78. As of today, the outstanding balance is $8,091,674. A lot of the residents have been paying their taxes. Some of the banks have paid their taxes, but we have one large bank, as an example, that pays the taxes for 1,604 properties in town, and they pay that every quarter because that's the clearinghouse for a bunch of banks.
How many properties is that again?
Properties 1,604, and they have a payment of about $3.5 million that they have not made. They have not transferred. So here's what will happen. Unfortunately, if in fact that bank doesn't make that payment, it's likely that I will do some inter-transfer funds. So if we have money in capital, there's something that you're allowed to do with according to the state of New Jersey, where we can do an inter-transfer, where we'll borrow the money from our own money from capital or for someplace else. We'll put it in the bank to cover expenditures, as long as we put it back within the calendar year. You cannot let that go the next calendar year. But make no mistakes, we don't have that kind of dollar amount in the bank to cover this. So if in fact we don't have enough cash flow coming in, and remember, there's going to still be deposits coming in as time goes on. It won't be in time for some of these payments. We could also go to the bank and borrow the money if in fact I had to. So with that said, though it's very tight and we work on very slim margins, if in fact you move forward with this, just know that it'll be a little bit of a balancing act, because I want to make sure that we get the schools the money that we owe them, and the county the money. And I will work with all of our deadlines to make sure that we can work out a scenario that'll work for everybody involved. But we've already noticed that it's tightened just when they started talking about extending the deadline. So I mean, think about it. Why would a bank send $4 million to us when they can extend it for another 3 weeks and keep that cash flow? I don't know whether they're doing that or they're not doing that, but traditionally, we would have received that money already. So when you ask me how it'll affect us, it's going to make our operation very tight. I've already frozen all the budgets. I've talked to the schools, I've talked to the county, I've talked to the library, I've talked to all the people that rely on us for support, that, hey, we may have to slow down our payments so that we don't have to borrow the money, because if we borrow the money, we have to pay interest on it.
Right.
And remember, when you have 100% of the tax bill comes through our office and we distribute it to others, we only keep 22% of it. So we send about approximately 78% of it to others, so we will be funding everybody else's operation. The governor did not waive the payment dates for the counties or the schools or anything else. So having said that, from a financial perspective, it makes it very difficult, but from a moral and human perspective, I understand why you would want to do this.
Yeah.
I hope that, I mean, I can go into more depth, but that's really the summary, if you want.
In terms of, hi, it's Ryan. In terms of payments coming up and expenses that we need to monitor, are we able to secure not only this payroll, but the next payroll as well for the folks in the building? I think the last thing that we want is staff being worried about paychecks.
Yes, if you notice the spreadsheet, I have the payroll for 5/6 and the payroll for 5/20. But I did not carry this into June because it's unrealistic to think that we're not going to get some deposits between now and then. I'm getting some feedback from somebody, I'm not sure who. So yes, I have our payroll in here, and like I did today with Dr. Bernice, I called the school to make sure that they could make their payroll. That's why we transferred that $1 million today. Any other questions on the extension of the deadline for payment?
No, I would just like to say that I think the question is, if we can make this work, why not do it? I think we owe it to the Ringwood taxpayers to help out the ones that are hurting, considering so many people are hurting right now, so many people are out of work. If we can make it work, why not do it?
Yeah, it'll be difficult, but I think we can.
Right, I think it will be
So
difficult.
this Councilwoman O'Keefe, I understand that a lot of people haven't received their stimulus check from the federal government yet. And I think a lot of people were relying on that in our community to help make ends meet. Given that this has been delayed, I think it's a nice courtesy to extend our residents. And Scott, is this the only bank that you mentioned that hasn't paid yet? Because it's May 5th. And I know the normal extension is only to May 10th. So I would think most banks would have been in the process of doing this, because not every municipality is going to pass a resolution to extend it.
Some banks, remember the clearinghouse that we're talking about, a lot of banks use to make their payments. This isn't a bank, this is a clearinghouse who makes the tax payments. Some of the banks have made their payments, one of them. One bank made a partial payment. I can't get into the specifics, obviously, but yes, it's different than it normally is, so that's what raises some caution.
I see. Well, again, like I said, a lot of people are still waiting for the stimulus check and unemployment to help them make ends meet. There's been backlogs in both things, so I would say we need to do what we can to help our residents through this difficult time, and I would
Right.
suggest that we pass this resolution.
And remember, approximately, and I don't know why this camera is so close, we have to figure that out, but approximately 60% of the properties in Ringwood pay their taxes through a mortgage, through the bank. So that's
Right.
just some information for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? So Mayor, would you like me to read this resolution, or how do you want me to proceed?
Yes, could you read the resolution?
Okay, it's long and it's wordy, so you can tell I didn't write it. Mr. Klimek, just read it, just go ahead and read it the way it is, or?
Well, I think we could summarize the whereases. if I could just say, the whereases come from the Executive Order 130, which says any governing body of a municipality with a calendar year budget
Yeah.
cycle may adopt a resolution instituting a grace period concluding on a date no later than June 1, 2020 for the payment of second quarter taxes. Then you can just go to the now therefore. I think just reciting that
Right,
part.
we don't have to read that
Yeah,
whole
it's in the
thing.
record.
Yeah.
The document's in the record, so it's memorialized.
I have a resident calling. I'm gonna put him on hold.
Okay.
Hello? 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 It is, it's not public portion yet, so I'm gonna put you on hold, okay? Okay, thanks. I hope I didn't screw that up. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is Resolution 2020-118, resolution deferring the due date for the second quarter of property taxes as outlined by Mr. Klimak. That he summarized the whereases, and then now therefore be it resolved by the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood in the County of Passaic, State of New Jersey, on the 5th day of May, in accordance with the law, and the second installment of the 2020 taxes shall not be subject to interest until June 1, 2020, and be it further resolved that all second installment tax payments received after that date shall be subject to the interest commencing May 1 until the date of the second installment payment is received at a rate of 8% for the first $1,500 and 18% on anything in excess of $1,500. So what that's saying is they're offering this grace period. If you don't pay it in this grace period, the interest and the penalties revert back to the May 1st. Somebody's got a lot of noise in the background there. I don't know who that is, but so that's what the resolution is. 2020-118 is to extend the property taxes to June 1st.
Can I have a
Mike McCracken,
motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we pass that resolution as read.
Jamie Manuel Landis, I'd like to second that.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Peretti?
Yes.
Matteo Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Okay, Mayor, so we'll be extending the grace period until then. I will advise the finance office. We have had some people calling, so, and I'm grateful for everybody that has paid their taxes, because a lot of the residents have. It's, so,
Right. Will that go out on the bulletin board on Skyline Drive, or how will we?
I'll figure out how to get that out.
Okay.
Okay, so the next, the next item is something that you asked me to do, and to look into the businesses
And the restaurants and.
the restaurants and whatnot. I'm gonna see if I can turn this noise down, because, so, Mayor and I talked about this, and I've talked to a couple of you, and I've talked to some businesses, and we all acknowledge that the restaurants and some of the stores are really gonna be struggling. I met with Mr. Klimak, I met with the planning board attorney, I met with some planners to say, how do we streamline this process so they can get some outdoor seating? Because let's be honest, even if they could fill their restaurants, we as a community really don't want them to do that. We've been really proactive relative to the virus, and we got ahead of so much of what was going on. We closed things down early, so we want to give this opportunity for people to start to go back to their normal lives after the governor approves it. And dining outside or having some type of retail outside would be beneficial. So as I looked at the zoning, if we went through a normal zoning process, it would take 5 to 6 months, and they would spend a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of effort. So I came up with an unusual out-of-the-box thinking where we can have an event throughout the entire community run by the borough, underwritten by the borough, where we're having a 90-day community event where we're going to allow outside dining and outside sales, so to speak, under certain circumstances, as outlined by myself, the chief of police, and the building inspector, so we can make it safe and we can help these businesses function. It's not easy to write regulations because no one property is the same, Mayor. Like, what's happening is some areas have area to do it, some areas don't. So it's going to take some creativity to do this, but I'm willing to go through that motion to help the businesses. So I'm going to read a rather lengthy resolution, but what really the resolution is saying is you as a council are giving me the authority to have a public event for 90 days whereby we allow these things to happen as an event instead of going through the zoning process. And we make sure that it's safe, and we make sure that there's insurance, and we make sure the property owners sign off on it. And we can do all that stuff very clearly through a community event. So we're really running this event, and we're inviting people to join us if in fact they want to partake, and they don't have to. But I thought this was a way that we can kind of stimulate some of these businesses that are suffering. It's not a solution for everybody, and they're probably going to have to share in spaces. Like, we're not going to have a lot of different pods throughout a parking lot. Like, I may make one big area. I've traveled a little bit, and some of these open air markets and some of these open air restaurants split areas up, and we're going to do something similar to that. So I'd like to read this resolution, if I may, Mayor.
Yes.
And then if there's any questions, and this poor gentleman on hold, I'm gonna tell him that we're still in, but if you could hold on, if you could just bear with me for a minute. Hello, sir? It's probably gonna be another 5 or 10 minutes before the public portion, but you certainly will be allowed to ask your question at that point. Can you just bear with me? Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, so this resolution that Mr. Klimak helped me draft, I thank you for that. Resolution 2020-119, a resolution of the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood providing the issuance of special events permits during the COVID-19 crisis. Whereas as a result of the outbreak of the COVID-19 and the declared national, state, and local emergency has significant impacted the financial integrity of numerous businesses, entities in the Borough of Ringwood, and curtailed the ability for businesses to serve the citizens of Ringwood. And whereas the business owners are desirous of implementing innovative means to support their financial viability and serve the residents of the Borough of Ringwood during this crisis. Whereas the Municipal Council is desirous of supporting the business in the time of crisis and is alert and attentive to the concerns and some of the proposals that have been brought forward. And whereas the special events protocol be established during this crisis, wherein businesses engage in serving food and/or drinks and other retail businesses can extend their services and sales to outdoor areas in the vicinities of their enclosed businesses. And whereas now therefore be it resolved by the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood as follows. In furtherance of the aforesaid goals, a special events permit may be issued to the business engaged in the service and sales of the food and drink and other retail business uses to use privately owned outdoor spaces adjacent to or in the vicinity of the said enclosed business, subject to the regulations set forth herein. Application for the permit. A person or an organization seeking issuance of a permit shall file an application for approval by the borough manager and shall furnish the following information: name, address, contact information for the business entity providing the services, and for the proposed special event. A sketch or a plan showing the location of the proposed special event and such other information requested by the borough manager. All dates of the proposed special event, and for each such date, the proposed starting and ending time for each event. Proof of compliance with the regulations with the state, local, and county governmental agencies or jurisdictions that oversee those type of proposed events. A detailed description of any of the borough services that will be requested in connection with the event. Written approval of the event from the owners of the space where the area will be utilized. Evidence of the said event will not interfere with pedestrian or vehicle traffic or interfere with the operation of the other businesses in the vicinity. Provides such other information as the borough manager shall find necessary, reasonably necessary to full determination as to whether the permit shall be issued. And the borough manager is authorized to consult with other such municipal governmental agencies as we deem appropriate for the full determination. An application for the special permit shall be submitted at least 7 days prior to the event. The borough manager shall approve or disapprove of the application within 7 days of the receipt, and all the relevant information may be subject to approval such conditions as deem appropriate, including the length of time, location, special event, which shall in no event extend more than 90 days without the permission of this board. Permit may be revoked by myself if the applicant fails to adhere to the terms of the approval. The applicant shall submit a copy of their insurance policy or certificate of insurance issued by a company duly authorized to transact business under the laws of the state of New Jersey, providing for the payment is not less than $1 million to satisfy all claims for damage by reasons of bodily injury to death of any persons as a direct result of the approved special event, and further that the payment be not less than $50,000 to satisfy all claims of property damage occurring as a result of a special event, and naming the borough as additionally insured. Be it further resolved, the provisions of this resolution shall take effect for a period of 90 days from the date or such earlier determination as extension as determined by the municipal council. So all those words really mean, and I've gone to all the locations in town, and I've taken pictures and I've outlined some areas, and I'm gonna do a lot of the legwork for these businesses, because I'm trying not to put any more burden on them. I will take input from each particular property. I'm gonna do it as a property, on that basis, like we're gonna try and merge it all together. I've met with the building inspector, I've met with the chief of police as well, and we believe we can find a way to make this safe and create some awareness that they're open, and also give them some outside space. And so with that, Mayor, I present that resolution to you. I know it is rather lengthy and cumbersome in nature, but really what you're doing is giving me the authority to have this event and try to help all the people.
Well, I think it's a lot of work put on you, but I think it's a good idea, and, we'll go through some trial and error, but I'm sure we'll make it work, and it'll
We
be in the
will.
best interest of our town.
We will make it work. The businesses will have to be patient and understanding a little bit, like they're gonna have to compromise, but I think this will be a good way to start.
Any-
Questions? I'm sorry.
I know it's already, hi, it's Ryan. I know it's already lengthy. I don't know if we can add to it or just in principle related to this, relax the sign restrictions that we have in town to make it clear to people who are driving by what's happening and what's available in any of these parking lots.
Well, we're not relaxing any restrictions with this. What this is a special event. And there may be some signage that comes along with this special event, so by no means does this replace our zoning.
But there's accommodations within the current zoning for signage for special events.
No, there's not any signage for that, but let's be honest, if in fact in a parking lot, there's going to be a lot of activity, and I'm getting a lot of feedback from somebody. If this is designed in a way that will bring a lot of attention to the area, if in fact the businesses decide to partake in this event. So while signage is not part of this, I probably can allow some signage along with the special event, but I want to be clear that this is not in any way altering zoning requirements. This is a way that we can have a public event that we can invite people in to participate in. So I don't want anybody to think we're doing away with zoning ordinances, because we're not.
Excuse me, Scott, I think a lot of businesses too now are
Understood, thank
using
you.
Facebook to advertise if they're having.
Yeah, let's say
different
that,
things.
let's
So-
say that the Rockland Shopping Center, I don't want to name specific businesses, but let's say that there's an area cordoned off that has maybe a tent or maybe a big open outdoor area. I think that the signs are not going to be as important, because it's going to be very apparent that there's something going on.
I couldn't hear the mayor. If she just asked a question, it's very
Oh.
difficult to hear her. I don't know if anyone else is having difficulty.
She's looking at me. Look at the mic, Mayor.
I said that a lot of businesses now, are advertising on Facebook when they're open for different things that they're having, like, dinners that they're having on certain days. So, I figured that's how they'll get the word out also, is by using Facebook.
That's a good point, Mayor.
So, is there any other questions of this resolution?
Ms. Councilwoman O'Keefe, I think it's wonderful that we're making this extension to help our local businesses. I know they're struggling, and supporting them is the most important thing we can do so that one day we can all get back to normal. So I think it's a great move, and I applaud the effort to do so.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mayor, I'll leave it to you.
Can we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Hi, it's Ryan. I'll move.
I'll second that.
I think it was Councilman Bolton, seconded by Councilman McCracken. It was hard, but
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Matty Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
now, I want everybody to keep in mind that this is all subject to the governor's allowing, opening this, like, I want to do this in advance so that we can start preparing, because I wanted to hit the ground running. So, just, and my office is really busy, so please don't everybody call tomorrow. But we will get through this, and I think that I've already done some legwork, so we'll try to get that done as quickly as we possibly can. Mayor, we have public. We have public
Right.
both on participants as well as the phone. I would like to get this gentleman first, if I could, because
Okay.
this is ringing in my ear.
So we'll open up general public portion.
Correct, and I will remind the council that we have the guidelines as to this is only for these two items. The public may
Right.
not, but we have to stay within those guidelines.
Right.
So,
Can I have a motion to open public portion?
Motion to open public portion. It's Ryan.
Second,
Councilwoman O'Keefe, I'll second that motion.
roll call?
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Ma-
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Moretti?
Yes.
Matty Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna take this call. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, you are on the air at the council meeting. I would ask you to state your name and address for the record before you make your statement.
Absolutely. My name is William Cabellis. I live at 299 Woodside Avenue, Ridgewood, New Jersey.
Okay, and you can go ahead and make your statement.
I am a frequent user of the state parks and a volunteer trail worker within the parks. Recently, I've been disturbed by the number and frequency of motor vehicles entering the parks from the Ringwood area. The damage that they are doing is unprecedented. There are 4 areas where they seem to be entering, and while I know you guys don't have responsibility for parks, they are accessing the parks via public roads through your towns. One spot is Ryerson Middle School. There's a fence on the right side where they're entering. On Valley Road, roughly about 101 Valley Road across from Wellback Terrace.
Oh, excuse me for 1 second. Could I ask all of you to put yourselves on mute because the feedback is difficult? I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Cabelli.
No problem. So Ryerson, I mentioned, 101 Valley Road is an entrance. There's another entrance at 10 Spruce Place in Ringwood, which is a dead end. And then I think it's roughly about 2 Mountainside Drive in Ringwood by the water tower, where there's another major entrance, and there's just a tremendous amount of traffic coming in those areas and just tearing up the park. And actually, I think being quite brazen and dangerous in terms of passing hikers and bikers. So if there's anything you guys can do to stop the traffic into the parks on the roads, that would be much appreciated.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your call.
Thank you. Have a great one.
You too. Bye now. Okay, we have no more calls, but we do have another call. Okay. Hello, you're on the air with the council. Can you just state your name and address for the record?
Hi, it's Thomas Conway, 19 West Circle.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to also talk about the ATV traffic. It's not just confined to the Ringwood State Park that was mentioned on the previous call. It's also in the Northern Green area over by Burnt Meadow Road in the Stoketown area of town. What we're seeing or hearing about, I've heard from the different groups, including the Passaic River Coalition, mainly concerned about their Torrey Rocks property. They're getting reports of gangs of riders, not one or two, but up to 30 groups or 30 individual vehicles pooling together and riding through the woods. I've already talked to Chief Walker. He was great. He responded. He brought it up with Eric Payne, and there are some steps we can take, and I'm confident that Ringwood's doing it all it can. But I would ask the council if you have any connections with the DEP or the Highlands Council to try to get an agency that really oversees the parks themselves, get the state park police back there. Because as stewards of the Highlands, we really don't want these tracks digging in the ruts they're currently doing. With the heavy rains, I was out this weekend and just saw these paths paths that they're making really just turned into rivers. And what happens there is it takes the sediment from our woods, washes it down into the streams, and then that feeds into our lake. So it's just a really bad situation at this point. So a lot of people have complained about it. As the environmental chair, I've heard a lot of those complaints to me. So again, I think Ringwood's doing all it can, but if anyone can put any pressure on our state agencies, it would be much appreciated. And that's about it. I've talked to Chief Walker. He was very responsive. So again, any pressure we can put on the DEP to enforce the rules they've made. I think when they closed the parks down for 3 weeks, the lack of hikers really made it just a free-for-all out there. So hopefully things start changing because there's more people, but in the meantime, if we could reach out to the state and raise our voice and let them know what's going on in the backwoods, it would be much appreciated.
Tom, I also spoke with the chief. We talked about it, and I think with all that's going on, we have a lot of out-of-state plates that are doing some of these things as well. So we'll continue to do what we can. We understand.
Yes, great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think that's all the calls we have. Let me see if these other folks, John, I think I can allow them to speak. Hello, Dixon? You are on the council meeting if you would like to make a public comment. If not, I can go on to the next person. Okay, he hasn't unmuted himself. I allowed him, so I'm going to go to the next one. Melissa, this is Scott, and you're on the council meeting. I've unmuted you if you want to make a comment.
Hi, Scott. No, I was just wanting to see what you guys were planning on doing.
Okay.
As I don't know if you saw, I had sent you an email.
I did see that.
Okay. So we own a party rental company, as you guys know. We do 10 stable shares.
Can you just give your address for the record if you could?
Sure.
Melissa?
It's 97 Cheshire Lane.
Okay, thank you.
So we have been kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit in hopes that we would start opening up a little. So we have been diligently working with our vendors as well as some other party rental companies in different states to see what they're doing and find out best practices for disinfecting, as well as kind of social distancing underneath the tent, different table setups for restaurants, things like that. So we are here. If you need us, please feel free to reach out anytime.
Thank you. You are on my list. Today was filled with financial concerns, but tomorrow I probably will be reaching out to you as well. So thank you for your comment.
You're welcome.
Mr. Rabaki, do you have a comment, or let me see? I think
I accidentally clicked.
Okay. Okay, so seeing nobody else then, I think,
This Councilwoman O'Keefe, I'll make a motion to close public portion.
Have a second?
McCracken, I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Ferretti?
Yes.
Matty-Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
O'Keefe?
Yes.
and Mayor, before you close, I have to tell you, when you first called me and said, I want you to figure out outdoor dining and help some of these businesses. I definitely had an eye roll at my desk, like, how am I possibly gonna do that? But you know what, your ideas, I'm glad you gave me that nudge to move it forward, because it needed to happen. And I think we will have a great path forward. It won't be perfect, but it certainly will help. So thank you.
I think it'll help. Yeah, definitely will help.
So Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
We have a motion to adjourn?
Correct, and I'll make that motion to adjourn the meeting for tonight.
Do I have a second?
Ferretti, I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Schaefer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Council members Bolton?
Yes.
Ferretti?
Yes.
Manuel Landis?
Yes.
McCracken?
Yes.
And O'Keefe?
Yes.
Good night, everybody. Be
Okay,
safe.
thank you.
Stay healthy.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night.
Be well. Everything help.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
You too.